Good afternoon. I'm Max Maximowski from the OBIC Bioproducts Innovation Center, and thank you for joining the OBIC Bioproduct Network's latest presentation as part of our Bioproducts Commercialization webinar series. Today's webinar will review the highlights from our inaugural Bioproducts World Conference and Showcase, which occurred back 6 through 8 here in Columbus. Before we start the program, let me highlight two quick logistical issues. First, if you have not already done so, audio connection is on mute. This will reduce audio interference and feedback for the presenters. Secondly, if you'd like to ask a question, we'll have a few minutes of Q&A after the presentation is done. Please submit your questions directly to me, either via the chat box on the right side of the screen or via email to max@maximumcq.com. We will pass your questions on to the presenters. With that, let's begin our program.
Slide. Thank you. Well, hi everybody. This is Denny Hall, Director of OBIC, and I want to thank you for participating in our webinar this morning as well. Go ahead, next slide. We're going to just kind of go through some of our highlights from the conference and give you some of the situations and hopefully continue to build towards a program in 2015. Next slide. So a little bit about why we decided to do Bioproducts World 2014. We were concerned that we weren't getting enough attention in front of buyers and that for the most part there's a tremendous amount of really cool, very interesting, fascinating products that are bio-based out in the marketplace, getting the proper sales attention that they deserve. And so we wanted to create an event where we would bring in procurement officials, commercial buyers, and really showcase those products. And we're delighted with the level of participation that we got year one. Maybe not so much with the buyers. I think we were disappointed that we did not attract more in the way of government procurement folks and commercial buyers, but found that the networking was outstanding. And for many of the professionals in the bioproducts industry space, just being able to meet with and work with peers and discuss some of the challenges, et cetera, was very worthwhile. We had a goal of 350 attendees. We did not get that. We hit 250. We had a goal of 50 exhibitors, and we had 41. So in some places, our conference was a little disappointing for those of us that were organizing it, but the feedback that we've gotten from most everybody was for a first-time attempt, it was very worthwhile. So that gives you a little bit of background of sort of the goals and why we wanted to try and bring together members across the bioproduct supply chain to really showcase very interesting products. Next slide. Obviously, want to thank our sponsors because this was critical in order for us to be able to do this. And United Soybean Board and the Ohio Soybean Council were right there early on, and also USDA and in particular Rural Development. Tony Logan and crew here in Ohio really went to bat for us and was very supportive. The USDA BioPreferred was also involved and very helpful in terms of providing contacts and companies that are involved in the BioPreferred program. Also, Ashland and Office Depot, silver sponsors, greatly appreciated. I'll never forget the day that Office Depot joined because they committed to a whole suite of bio-based office products, and it's a great day. And then Joe Fox at Ashland has just been such a great friend of OBIC's. So really want to thank Ashland for stepping up and providing that level of support. Here are other sponsors and supporters. Our Office of Energy and Environment, Sherwin-Williams, Johnson Knight Tarkett, Battelle. And it's just not very often that you get a sponsorship from Nankai University or from China. And what a treat to be able to host them and allow them to participate in the show. And then Emery Oleochemicals, and you'll see a picture of their car that they brought in. Everybody was really excited about that. So, move on. So here are the numbers. 11 sponsors, 41 exhibitors, 250 attendees. The high school students that came, I thought we had 60 some, so need to check those numbers. But Blanchester High School, Global STEM Academy, a couple of schools from here near Columbus. The student participation really brought a youthful energy. Their questions and was awesome. I've been reviewing some videos that the students have done, and I think people will enjoy seeing kind of the bioproducts industry from a student's point of view. I thought our educational sessions were outstanding, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of our speakers here in a little bit. And then, in addition, while the trade show was operating, there was a stage set up alongside the trade show where we had 8 mini-session speakers. And the education programs that would be targeted for, a general audience, not really telling about your company or your product, but sort of like lessons learned from your bioproduct experience, and more speaking then to a kind of a general or educational need. The mini sessions were more of like a sales pitch or an opportunity to kind of really pitch your product or your ideas. 24 Bioproduct Innovation of the Year finalists. That was really exciting. We did not know what kind of response we would have. To have 24 finalists was really a delight. In fact, Max will speak to this in a little bit, but the need to divide it into 2 different categories. But folks, that was the combination of a lot of effort, and the last 6 months were pretty intense preparing for the conference, but really a year and a half to prepare for that conference. And now that we've done it, we think we need to kind of keep going, but got a lot of things to think about before we take on those kinds of responsibilities. Next slide. So here's some other statistics from the conference. Social media is pretty good to us. We had 383 Facebook likes, 563 Twitter followers, over 20 articles, so the media picked this up real well. You can see it was an international conference with 7 countries involved. A couple from Europe, Mexico, and then China. And then, it was from people all across the country as well. So very exciting to see the interest in bioproducts and to feel that camaraderie from so many that's interested in this space. Next slide. And here's just a couple of photos from the conference. You see Max there visiting with Secretary Vilsack in the upper left. That wasn't Secretary Vilsack?
I think so.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is an individual from Denmark, actually. In the middle of some of our lunch. It was just an excellent networking opportunity, and I'm not going to go through each one of those, but get a sense of what the thing looked like. All right, Max, you want to tell a little bit about Bioproduct Innovation of the Year?
So we had almost 30 entries for the Bioproduct Innovation of the Year award, and we were very surprised to get that level of entries. So we quickly decided that we needed to divide that into 2 categories, as Jenny mentioned. This was the eligibility that was utilized to take those 30 entries and narrow them down to the finalists that presented. And this was also the judging criteria that we provided to our panel of judges. I am most thankful that I decided to get 3 people for each of the categories to judge, because having been in the presentations, they were very hard to find the winners in every category. So I want to thank Bruce Fawcett, Joanne Ivanisic, and Joe Fox for as well as Cheryl Mikesell, Bill Lundberg, and I'm skipping one. I'm forgetting one. I'll remember it and get back to you. Sorry if you're on the phone. But we had a Kent Young from Sherwin-Williams. I'm sorry, Kent, if Sherwin-Williams is on the line, please don't tell Kent I forgot his name. So we had two categories, consumer products and commercial products. We had approximately 8 presentations on the consumer side and about 12 on the commercial product side that ran that first Monday morning of the conference. Here are the list of the commercial finalists. The diversity here was interesting. It went from monomers for making polymers to biological growth enhancers to some packaging raw materials, as well as some enhancements and added to current polymers. So divided the commercial category into products that would primarily be sold into an industrial or commercial market and at least 1 or 2 levels away from going into a direct finished goods consumer type of application. In the consumer finalists here, we had about 8. These were ranging from a supporting material for making for packaging for champagne bottles, to paper products, to detergents and cleaners, as well as some oil and lubrication products. So very interesting products here. The winner in those are reversed. The winner in the consumer category was Synergy USA. They had a product called Magic Dirt, which is a organic-based potting soil that's made from digested organic feedstock and composted forest products to create a very interesting Magic Dirt products. The commercial winner was Technor Apex, and their product is a next-generation PLA that addresses some of the industry issues with heat resistance and durability of PLA-based products, and they've applied their product into the food service area to allow for high-temperature applications of PLA, including for coffee cups, plates, and other areas where you would need high-temperature resistance that PLA currently doesn't provide.
Okay, some of our educational programs. You can see the list of all of our speakers during the conference. Again, Office Depot, Yamez Siddiqui, who's the Senior Environment Director for Office Depot, had fun poking a bit at us for our keynote presentation. For those of you that were there, we had a good time with Yamez, and spoke to many of the issues in terms of how bio-based products can be a part of marketing and the sustainable marketing initiatives. Then we had a series of breakout sessions. You could go to one of 3 different programs. You can see the list of all of our speakers. Some that you might recognize, some that you might not. We've had David Schwantes before talk a little bit about his marketing study. Bart Hacker talked a little bit about green buildings. A big fan of Lawrence Eaton and the a billion-ton study and where we're going to come up with all the biomass. Then the luncheon presentation on Tuesday was Christophe Luguel from IAR. Many of us had the opportunity to meet with him and tour some biorefineries in Europe. He's on the Bio-Based Industry Consortium Board of Directors there in Europe, and kind of brought with him a little bit of what's going on with the European movement. Then Alfred Puhala from Capital Peak Asset Management. Al is overseeing a $10 billion rural infrastructure investment program, and is just really well connected to an awful lot of key shakers and movers in the financial community. And so it was great to have him there, and people had the opportunity to set up an appointment and visit with Al and kind of get some feedback from Al on financing their enterprise. Clearly the highlight of the conference was Secretary Tom Vilsack. We got a few more pictures about him. Wednesday morning then we had more breakout sessions, 2 different opportunities to see 3 speakers. Ron Buckall, USA BioPreferred, Doug Hahn, Team Gemini, Dave Saltman, Malama Composites. Dojo, Cleveland Browns, and then Bima Vijayanand put together a presentation for OBIC on sort of like the state of the industry and some of the drivers. And then the conference closed with Dr. Flanagan from Ford Motor Company. So very excited about the speakers. I thought that was definitely a highlight of the conference. Next slide. And here's Yamez Siddiqui and David Schwantes on the right. Ramani Narayan from Michigan State University, top left, and then Cynthia on the lower right from Ford Motor. So Ramani Narayan, you know, for those of you that are maybe not Big Ten, you know, this is OSU and Michigan State. We've got a big game coming up here pretty soon, and he wasn't sure that he'd be welcome here in Columbus, but we're big fans of Michigan State, or I'm a big fan of Michigan State. It's just the blue that we have a problem with. So move on. And there is Bima Vijayanand on the left, and then Brad Moore from the Cleveland Browns on the right. And I should mention the Cleveland Browns. Why were they at the Bioproducts Innovation or Bioproducts Showcase? As you may know, there's a big movement within the sports stadia towards green and increased sustainability. And so Brad was there on part to represent the Green Sports Alliance, but also just to talk a little bit about what's going on in stadia around the country, football, basketball, baseball, major and minor leagues. Doug Hahn on the left, Ron Buckhold on the right with the USDA BioPreferred. Say it?
Mike Schulte, Coca-Cola.
Okay, Coca-Cola on the left, and Joel Stone from Green Biologics on the right. Okay. Lawrence Eaton, the top left, and Ramani Narayan, bottom right. Thank you. And then this was the mini session. So you can see this was actually, you might be able to tell a little bit more on the top right. You can see that the trade show is kind of set up in the back. That works surprisingly well because you could be on the trade show floor and not be burdened by the sound of the talk going on in the sessions. But you can see that there were quite a few number of people that wanted to take advantage of these and come over and see the presentations. Next slide. And now the Secretary's presentation. You can also tell from this slide that we had our OBIC Sustainable World Tour van on the floor of the show, and it made for a really attractive backdrop for the Secretary. And he spent a considerable amount of time going up and down the aisle, visiting with our exhibitors. So a lot of good. There's the Emery Oleochemicals car. Looking at some of the products. On the top left is Leslie Martinez visiting with Secretary Vilsack. Leslie does the training for the U.S. Department of Defense on green procurement, and was clearly one of the people we were very pleased to have involved in the show. She's going to be an important part of our program going forward, and really excited about having the Department of Defense active participant in the show. Also on the bottom right is Paul Martorella from Office Depot. Paul really was the champion from Office Depot that pulled together so many people to participate, and is really championing the whole BioPreferred program efforts for military and other public procurement types. And Office Depot has a very strong presence in those kinds of markets. You're going to see Bert Herring and Christian Johnson, yeah. And he's probably listening, and I almost messed up his name. He helped me carry in all those boxes of paper, so I am obligated to him. And you can see that this was on the floor of the trade show, the Secretary and Greg Parham, who is the Assistant Secretary, the USDA Assistant Secretary for Administration. He's the kind of the top of the line when it comes to procurement for USDA. and Ron Buckhold as well there. So, and a kind of a closing quote from the secretary. And clearly, this was a real treat for us and an honor to be able to host the secretary. And he was very complimentary, and we were really pleased to be able to share the stage with him. Next slide. So here's our list of 40 or so exhibitors. We did have not only the trade show floor where people could have booths, but also had what we call Entrepreneur Alley. It was basically a tabletop exhibit, and quite a few companies took advantage of that, companies and organizations. So some more pictures from some of our exhibitors. Elizabeth, I think if you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the voice of some of our exhibitors and the evaluation.
Sure. Because this was the inaugural year, we were really interested in making sure that we knew how the exhibitors' experience was, as well as the sponsors. So we decided to use two instruments. We conducted interviews, which was a great experience. Personally, I really enjoyed talking with the exhibitors and hearing what they felt about the conference. We were able to do that with 22 of the exhibitors. And then we also left behind a 2-page survey so that they could, leave positive as well as negative comments and didn't feel, it was an anonymous way to leave their comments. And just about half of them returned those, which was great. We got some good information. In the interview, we wanted to know specifically what brought them to exhibit, and we got some good information that we'll be able to use next year. Helped us see what they felt was valuable in exhibiting. And we also were able to talk to them about their expectations and whether their expectations were met. In the surveys that we left behind, we really tried to look at the logistics, whether they felt like they had enough time to network, were they able to get their brand out there, enough opportunities for brand presence. We also took a look at the number of hours, the number of days for the showcase to make sure that we were getting that right, and whether they thought the mini informational sessions and the educational sessions, as well as the Bioproduct Innovation of the Year, were of interest to them. And for the most part, we had a very positive experience from most people. There were some very good suggestions for how to change things, which we'll take into consideration, and some good suggestions for what topics or sectors of bioproducts that we should make sure that we include next time. So overall, I think we got some very valuable information, and if you're listening and you participated in that, thank you very much for that.
Okay, then also I mentioned earlier, just in the stats, we had some good press coverage. And one of the things that, do we have the picture coming up, I think? Go ahead and go to that. So we made the USDA Week in Review, like the cover photo, it was kind of so when it was the highlight for the secretary, and it certainly was our highlight to have him there. So you get another couple of views of the presentation when he was talking and meeting with some of our exhibitors, and then working with media as well. So
where'd we get the mountains in Columbus?
That was one of his stops that week.
Okay.
Forget about New Mexico or something.
All right. Well, we've got this up here is for next year, 2015. I'll tell you that I'm not necessarily automatically considering that that's going to happen. We're looking at dates. We're evaluating, sponsorships and financial planning, et cetera. But I think it's certainly our hope that we will be probably in October of 2015. So with that, any questions or comments?
If anybody has any, the chat line, but if you have any questions, please just feel free to unmute your phone, provide some questions. If you have any comments as an attendee or as an exhibitor or as a participant in the conference, we'd appreciate those also.
Yeah, no need to chat or send a message. We're about a third of the people who'd registered for this conference were people that actually attended. So there's some other experts in the room. We'd welcome any comments. And if we have none, we can adjourn.
Okay. All right, well, let's wrap up here. I did want to make everybody aware of something, a conference that is coming up this week here at Ohio State University. OBIC, the Ohio State University Office of Energy and the Environment, the Center for Advanced Plant Studies, the three groups that here at OSU are collaborating with three other Ohio universities, Ohio University, University of Toledo, and University of Akron, for the potential creation of an industry university collaborative research center that will be looking at the sustainable use of greenhouse gases. For you who are not aware of IUC, National Science Foundation funded effort, with the goal being to do advanced research in topics that are relevant to the industry members. The center is created, directed, and projects are selected by the university members that would be part of that. As one of the precursors to deciding if this IUCRC should be created and funded by NSF, there is a planning conference. This planning conference will be this week, November 4th and 5th, here at the Ohio State University in our Fawcett Center. There will be 10 and approximately 12 posters provided by potential research projects that desire to be funded as part of this program. If you are an industry member and this kind of sounds interesting, I invite you to attend. If you have to get more information, please contact me directly, and we can accommodate you with this. And lastly, do you have a question? Yeah, the presentation will be available. The presentation has been recorded, and it will be available on the OBIC website under the events portion by Monday. And you can get the audio as well as the presentation at that point for your listening and enjoying pleasure and for sharing with others as appropriate. And with that, we'll adjourn. If you are not a member of the OBIC Bioproduct Network, we encourage you to visit our website to find out more and to download a membership application. Membership to the OBIC Bioproduct Network will ensure you access to great programming opportunities such as our networking events and annual meeting, and will help you and your company to be at the forefront of happenings in the bioproduct industry. We will not be having webinars in November nor in December because of the holidays. So look for the announcement right after the first of the year of our January webinar and the ensuing webinars that will be proceeding throughout 2015. With that, we adjourn and wish you the best. Thank you.